everyone. I'm Afton Brazzoni, and this is the Changemaker Conversations interview series. My second guest of the year is here today, Brian Groat. I'm super excited to be here talking with Brian. He's the founder of Barnum Creative, and they're a web development and SEO company. So before I go any further, I'm going to let Brian explain that, tell everybody a little bit about himself and also, about what you do, Brian. So take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So I have been in the web development space for about 8 years now. Started out working with high growth startups in Toronto, and then gradually started taking on my own contracts, building out my own products, and then started building out Barnum Creative to kind of manage all of these projects and manage all of these clients. Um, I've been doing that for about 8 years, but 2 or 3 years ago, my clients kept coming back to me, um, and they're like, "Brian, my site is great. I love it. It's beautiful. How do I get people to see it? Do you know anything about SEO?" And I didn't. So I started reading all the blogs, reading all the books, and I discovered that um, it makes so much sense for a developer to learn SEO because at a certain point, technical SEO is just front end development. It's meta tags, it's optimizing images, it's optimizing page load times. Um, and then there's also some more sophisticated stuff we can do. So, for example, I can run very complex link building campaigns for my clients um, by, scraping 100,000 websites, finding dead links. Um, so it just kind of became like this very natural thing where I was picking up new skills based on what my clients were asking me to do.
Yeah, I love that. You saw the need and you responded to it. And I think you positioned it really well how you said it, because someone can have a beautiful website, but if nobody's finding it, there's the challenge. So I think the fact that you are not only creating their websites but ensuring that they get the traffic that they need to those sites is key, which kind of leads me into what I want to ask you about next. And so the audience for this video series typically is marketers and business owners. And so, there's tons of trends to keep up with in the digital marketing space, and especially when it comes to something like web development and design. So what would you say are like a few key takeaways that you want people to know about how to drive more organic traffic to their websites?
For sure. So the big thing to realize is that you can get 80% of the way there by leveraging the things that never change. So like there's always like a new Google update or some new link building technique or some new web development platform. Um, but you can get about 80% of the results by just using stuff that's been around forever and doesn't change, right? Like when you're building your first website, WordPress is probably fine. Webflow is probably fine. Um, when you are first trying to rank a site, you don't need to worry about building a PBN or running a large scale link building campaign. Just nail the Google My Business, just nail your Facebook page. Because a lot of the really advanced stuff is super valuable, but it's the last 20%. It's when you're trying to go from 100,000 a year to a million a year. You shouldn't think about it if you're trying to go from 10,000 to 100,000.
Yeah, that's good advice, because I think especially with some of the more technical terms, it can become overwhelming for people. And I often tell my clients, like, obviously I'm not, completely in this space like you are, but I'll suggest things like getting a Google My Business account and just, getting the basic building blocks in place to, to at least get them started. But I'm sure that you could totally go down a rabbit hole with so many things that they can do. And which kind of leads me to, trends that you see on the horizon, like if there's, or if there's anything else, other takeaways that you wanted to mention, or just where you kind of think this space is going and what people should know about.
For sure. So the big thing that I think that people should know about is this knowledge that you can't hack quality. Like there's plenty of things that I can kind of do to make one piece of content outrank another, all things being equal. But in the real world, all things are never equal. Um, so like focus on having really good stuff first. Make sure your content is killer. Make sure your website is intuitive, like people can find what you're doing. Um, because like really that's the 80% that's going to leverage most of your results. And then you can kind of get into the more advanced stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm super glad to hear you say that, especially as a content marketer
Yeah, as
myself.
I didn't even realize. Yeah, because so
Yeah.
the thing is, like a lot of people kind of have a bit of an antiquated view of SEO. So there was a period of time where long tails were like the name of the game. So like Google just couldn't tell the difference between plumbers in Toronto and Toronto plumbers. So what people would do is that they would just rank for both. Um, and like long tail still kind of works, but like Google's smart enough now to know what the searcher wants and what question they're asking. Um, and they'll serve the thing that best answers that question. And the best way to answer that question and for Google to flag it is for you to have that really good content, for you to actually answer the question. Um,
Yeah, no, that's super important for sure. And I think at the same time, balancing it with, how I always tell my clients, like it does still need to be written to appeal to someone. But the great thing is that what you're saying is like Google is now thinking of that from that intent perspective. And so what we really do is, we serve both of those needs with having good content.
yeah, no, absolutely. And um, as Google gets smarter, because like they have a team of engineers, they're constantly improving the search engine results. Um, as the Google bot gets smarter and smarter and smarter, it's going to start thinking more and more like a person, which means good content, good site architecture, good design. Um, Increasingly, like in the world of tomorrow, what's attractive to Google is going to be what's attractive to your visitors.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to think about, but cool. Um, So, in terms of your own company, Barnum Creative, like I'd love to hear, and I'm sure, everybody here as marketers and business owners would be interested in knowing kind of what's next for you. I know you're involved in a few different things and just where you kind of see the next year going.
For sure. So my big project, or my big goals for 2021 is to start building out more internal projects. So for the past several years, I've been working with clients, helping them build and rank their own websites. And in 2021, I'm still going to be working pretty closely with some clients. I'm probably taking on 2 or 3 new retainers. But the majority of my focus is going to be on building out and acquiring businesses and building them out myself.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that's exciting. Um, Now, yeah, before we kind of wrap up, at the end, I definitely want to have you let everyone know how they can connect with you. But, was there anything else you wanted to say today on the topics of web development, on SEO? Obviously, there's a million things to say, but anything you really think the audience should know before we wrap it up here?
For sure, it's that anybody who's watching this and listening to this, they're going to have their own zone of genius, and really, you want to spend as much time in your zone of genius as possible. Um, Figure out the thing that you're best at, and then just like start bringing on team members or contracting out the stuff that you're not good at. Um, just like it'll be so much faster. Like, don't try to figure out the latest Webflow thing. Don't try to figure out the latest WordPress thing. Don't follow the Panda update. Just figure out what you're really good at. Crush that, because if you just write really good stuff about that, then you'll probably rank pretty well anyway. And if you want to do the last 20%, I mean, I'll give you my contact information.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I totally always say that to other business owners too, because yeah, the zone of genius thing, it's typically going to be your business or the thing that you're marketing. It's not always going to be the development and the SEO. And I mean, that's why I'm very glad that you were able to come on today and kind of give us, a snapshot and some of the basics of that. And on that note, if people do want to continue this conversation, if they want to connect with you, what are some of the best ways to do that?
For sure. So obviously email Brian at barnumcreative.ca. But I also live on Twitter. So be Groat, Brian Groat. I'm on LinkedIn. I post every day. So yeah, just like the typical socials.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Brian. It was great to talk to you and definitely makes me think about continuing to ramp up my own SEO strategy. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I will be back in 2 weeks with another interview. All right. Take care.
Thanks.